6 months have passed since Doomsday's attack. Superman died defending Earth. The journalist talks to her guest, who claims that it's time for humanity to abandon heroes in cloaks. In an alley, 2 young men are attacked by bandits. They try to steal a girl's purse. Suddenly, a superhero appears and throws hooligans. A teenager with a Superman emblem on his chest turns out to be the hero. A young reporter crosses the street and does not notice a bus rushing at him. A man in metal armor and a red raincoat stops the bus. A reporter takes a picture of the hero and he flies off into the sky. Bandits break into the warehouse to steal weapons. Superman appears in yellow glasses. He beats up the bandits, breaks one of them's arm, and flies away with a box of weapons. The military launches a nuclear missile towards the United States. Another Superman intercepts the rocket in the air. He directs the rocket into space and it explodes. In the TV studio, the man claims that the real Superman is dead. The journalist replies that the Kryptonian's body has disappeared. It is unclear whether Superman can die at all. The guest replies that it is more important to understand who these new heroes are and why they appeared. In the office of the Daily Planet, Perry White distributes tasks to subordinates. In the editorial office, there is no Clark Kent, who disappeared during the Doomsday attack, and Lois Lane. Lois is in her apartment. There is a photo of them together with Clark on her desk. There is an envelope under it. Clark's parents come to Lois to support the girl. Lois says that when Superman appeared in town, no one knew what to ask him, but she knew. And now she understood what we need to ask the new Supermen. Lois says goodbye to the guests and leaves. Lois meets Diana Prince in a cafe. She wants to know what the Justice League knows about the new Supermen. Wonder Woman replies that the League is falling apart after the death of the Man of Steel and does not have data on new heroes. The girls go outside. Diana puts on her costume and flies away. In the evening, Lois comes to a reception at LexCorp. Dr. Irons greets her there. Lex Luthor rises to the podium and introduces the new Superman to the guests. A teenage Superman arrives and stands next to Lex. Lex promises that Metropolis will be safe with the new Defender. Lois sneaks into the lab building. She stumbles upon Luthor's assistant by the name of Donovan. Lois flirting with him, and he says that the young hero is a clone of Superman. Luthor himself appears and banishes Donovan. Lois notices that their conversation overhears Dr. Irons. The building shakes below Luthor and Lois. Back in the hall, to their feet drops young Superman. Superman in yellow glasses says Luthor, the criminal, and would be eliminated. Lex exposes shot Superman, his assistant, Lois. And Lex, hiding from the attacks of the evil Superman, Super Battle comes to life and attacks the villain. Superboy throws the enemy into a wall, then throws on the floor and presses a piece of the wall. The villain is selected from the rubble and throws the boy to the floor. The villain beat a teenager, then takes off and prepares to strike a decisive blow. But, for the moment, to strike villain knocks Iron Hammer. Iron introduced Superman. The villain attacks the Iron Superman. He attacks it. With his hammer, the villain stops the shot and throws the opponent. The evil Superman is once again preparing to destroy Luthor. But here comes the Cyborg Superman, attacks the villain Heat Rays. 2 of Superman fight the battle. Cyborg throws his opponent to the ground. He jumps up and grabs the Cyborg Superman. 2 attack each other. Power Rays. Superboy grabs the assistant Luthor and carries her out of the building. Lex and Lois save Superman. Iron Building LexCorp explodes from the crater. In the lobby of the building is chosen evil Superman and flies away from the rubble, is selected, and Superman Cyborg. Superboy gives interviews to journalists. Reporters also want to ask questions to Superman Cyborg. Superboy flirts with Lois and flies away. Lois asks Dr. Irons, who came up, what he was doing in Luthor's laboratory. He replies that he used to work for Luthor and now thinks that Lex uses his inventions to create weapons. In the Fortress of Solitude, robots are watching the process of restoring Superman in yellow glasses. Lois releases an article exposing LexCorp, and the evening a Cyborg Superman arrives at her apartment. He says that Krypton technologies allowed Superman to move his consciousness into another body. He says that after the news of Superman's death, the Earth is in danger. He asks the girl to believe that he wishes good to people and flies away. Lois writes articles about the exploits of the new Supermen. Superboy enjoys fame and is photographed with fans. A limo pulls up and Luthor orders Superboy to get into the car. Lex says that it's time for the Superboy to do the real thing, so that he is perceived as a real hero. The president's motorcade is moving through the city. Members of the Justice League are looking after him. A Superboy flies up to the motorcade and says that the protection of the president is entrusted to him too. The motorcade arrives at the opening of the new Justice League watchtower. The heroes notice a cyborg Superman in the sky. Superboy opens the door for the president and she rises to the podium. A portal opens in the sky and parademons break out from there. Superboy takes the president to a safe place and hands over to the guards. Superboy, Wonder Woman, and Cyborg, they take off into the air and fight with parademons. Flash saves civilians. Batman fights monsters on the ground. The Green Lantern covers him. Superfight destroys several parademons. He tells Superman Cyborg that he would not refuse help, but he is inactive. The parademons beat the boy and throw him to the ground. Lois Lane rushes to the lying guy. The parademons attack the president's car. They destroy the guards and try to get to the passenger, but they are killed by Superman Cyborg. He pulls the president out of the car and takes him to a safe place. The portal begins to disintegrate. It falls to the ground and covers the entire Justice League with itself. Only a charred funnel remains in the place where the heroes stood. In the news, I report that the president, after the disappearance of the Justice League, is preparing to make an appeal, which will be attended by Superman Cyborg. Luthor breaks the TV screen. Lex and Superboy go down to the laboratory. The boy sees capsules with clones. A wounded Donovan approaches him and says that it is difficult to work with the father of Superboy. The boy replies that his father is Superman. But Lex replies that in addition to Superman's DNA in the boy's blood and Luthor's DNA, Donovan asks Lex not to kill the boy and Luthor throws away the syringe with kryptonite. Lex and Superboy enter the elevator. Luthor says that Donovan is fired and opens the capsules with clones. The elevator he leaves. Monsters get out of the capsules and attack Donovan. Superman Cyborg puts a rose on a grave in a night cemetery. Suddenly pain pierces his head. Darkseid contacts Superman. The villain says that they have business. Grave Lois talks to the cemetery caretaker during the day. He says he saw a cyborg Superman last night at this grave. Lois picks up a flower from Terry Henshaw's grave. Iron Superman arrives at his hideout. He takes off his armor. The hero turns out to be Dr. Irons. Lois Lane is already waiting for him in the shelter. She says that Irons should lock the windows because anyone can get to his house. Lois tells Irons that Superman Cyborg came to Terry Henshaw's grave. Irons finds data about Terry. It turns out she was an astronaut and died with her husband Hank. Hank's body was never found. Lois says that Superman Cyborg is Hank Henshaw. The president speaks to the residents of Metropolis. She passes the word to Superman, who calls on citizens to join a new squad of heroes to resist threats. A thin guy is ready to join the Superman League. Cyborg Superman attaches an unknown device to the guy's chest, and it gives him strength. The guy easily lifts the TV van. Irons and Lane believe that Cyborg Superman uses Darkseid technology. From the tower of the Justice League, detachments of people fly out, to whom Superman Cyborg gave strength. A girl on the street notices her boyfriend. Suddenly, a street robber snatches her purse. The guy stops the thief and returns the purse to the owner. The girl thanks the guy, but he does not recognize her and flies away. Irons arrives at the warehouse. He sees a broken wall. The head of the bandits says that they were attacked by a Superman with glasses, the Liquidator. The Liquidator took all the weapons, but there is a radio beacon in the box, and if the Iron Superman hurries, he will be able to catch up with the Liquidator. Lois talks to Superboy in Lex's tower. The boy tells her that he was created from the DNA of Superman and Luthor. Irons contacts Lois and says that the Liquidator may be working with Superman Cyborg. Iron Superman arrives at the Fortress of Solitude. He is greeted by local robots. Irons is attacked by the Liquidator. Iron Superman accidentally calls Lois and she sees his battle with the Liquidator. Luthor enters the room. He takes the phone from Lois and displays the image on the big screen. Superboy wants to help Irons, but Luthor orders him to stay in the city. The Liquidator beats up Iron Superman. Lois realizes that this is a hologram created to protect the Kryptonian. She believes that the real Superman is in the ship on which he arrived on Earth. The Liquidator strikes Iron Superman and the connection is cut off. The superfight flies out through an open window. Darkseid orders Hank Henshaw to open a portal to Earth as soon as possible. The city is flooded with people with superpowers zombified by Darkseid. Ordinary residents gathered in a bar. They are going to stage a protest and a new Justice League tower. At this time, the Justice League is fighting a huge worm somewhere in another dimension. Wonder Woman throws the monster into the nearest asteroid with a lasso. Cyborg says he can't open the portal and bring everyone home. Green Lantern and the Martian Hunters say they don't recognize a single constellation in the sky. Batman says that these are not stars, but monsters. Until someone from Earth opens a portal for them, they are locked here. The Liquidator throws Iron Superman on the ground and starts beating him, but then the recovery capsule opens and the real Kal-El comes out of it. Luthor tells Lois that he can't find Irons. Lois says that he hopes that the real Superman is alive. Luthor replies that he also hopes for this and shows the journalist a video from the planet Apocalypse. Irons tells Kal-El that the Cyborg Superman is Hank Henshaw. Robots repair Irons' armor. Superboy joins the heroes. Kal-El says that he has not yet regained all his strength. Luthor shows Lois the mother box. He says that it needs to be activated at the top of the Justice League watchtower. Kal-El is armed and flies on his ship to Metropolis. He is accompanied by Dr. Irons and Superboy. A protest is going on at the watchtower. Luthor and Lois arrive there. Lois asks Darkseid's minions to deliver her to the Cyborg Superman. Lex contacts Irons and sees Kal-El alive. He informs the heroes that Lois is in the tower. Lois talks to Superman Cyborg and says she knows who he is. Superman Cyborg replies that Hank Henshaw is dead. He grabs Lois by the throat. An alarm sounds. The computer reports that a Kryptonian ship is approaching the tower. Darkseid contacts Hank and orders the portal to be activated. Superman Cyborg rips off the sign from his chest. There is a mother box in his body. All the devices on the chest of people who joined the Superman Cyborg squad are activated. A huge portal opens in the sky. Darkseid directs his hordes to Earth. Lois provokes Hank. He rips the mother box out of his chest and crushes it with his foot. The portal closes. Hank says that now all cyborgs obey him, and he ordered them to destroy Metropolis. Cyborgs rush at ordinary citizens. Luthor tries to activate the mother box. Hank is going to kill Lois, but then Superman's ship crashes into the tower and throws Hank away. Kal-El gets out of the ship. Two cyborgs attack Lex, but Irons and Superboy appear and throw them aside. Lois hugs Clark. Hank throws at Superman his own ship. Then he chains Lois to the wall. Superman attacks Hank, but his strength is not enough. Hank beats Superman and throws him against the ceiling. Hank blames Superman for the death of his wife. Kal-El shoots Hank, but he melts his weapon with thermal vision. Hank throws Superman to the floor and strangles him. Lois says that Superman is not to blame for the death of his wife. Lex says that he needs electricity to activate the mother box. Superboy and Irons fight cyborgs. One of the cyborgs falls next to Lex. He connects to his power source and activates the portal. The Justice League appears from the portal. The heroes go to battle with cyborgs. Hank starts the engines and the Watchtower rises into orbit land. Superman tries to free Lois, but Hank throws him aside. Kal-El sticks a power cable in Hank's face. The villain throws Superman away and beats him. Lois manages to grab a gun and free herself. She activates the tower's defense system and fixes the hole in the hull. Hank beats Kal-El and presses him against the wall. Lois shoots the villain in the back. The girl notices the lever lowering the solar shields. She flies to the lever. Hank wounds her in the shoulder and leg, but Lois manages to get to the lever. The compartment is filled with sunlight. The sun returns the strength to Kal-El and he cuts off Hank's metal arm with thermal vision. The hand is immediately restored. Superman flies to Hank and stabs him in the head with a crystal from the Fortress of Solitude. Hank finds himself in the night cemetery at his wife's grave. Here he is attacked by a liquidator. In Metropolis, all the cyborgs turn off and fall to the ground. Tears flow from Hank's eyes. Lois hugs Superman and they kiss. Lois and Clark are watching the news while sitting in a bar. The news reports that Superman has brought reporter Clark Kent back to his homeland. Superman says that Superboy has settled perfectly at the Kent ranch. Wonder Woman contacts Superman and he says it's time for him. He leaves the bar and takes off into the air. He flies in the country, overtakes the plane, and ends up in Earth orbit. Dear friends, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe to the channel. This is important to me.